we decided to try out Carnival's newest ship.
Yeah, Mardi Gras.
So um, we're going to get into some observations. We'll just say it's the biggest Carnival ship we've been on.
It's gigantic.
That's right. We've been on 4 other Carnival ships, and we've been on 3 other cruise lines. But this is definitely the biggest ship on any cruise line that we've been on.
That's right.
And what was your why don't you start, and we're going to share some specific surprises that we experienced during the cruise in a few minutes here. But first, let's kind of talk in general. What did you think of the Mardi Gras, Joy? What did you like? What did you not like? That sort of thing.
Well, I was impressed that it was such a huge ship, and
definitely a big one. Yes.
And
anything else?
All the employees were very happy to see us. They were very friendly. Well, they all had smiles on their faces.
Yep.
So that's always good.
The crew on, we'll say Carnival specifically, but generally cruise ship crews we've dealt with have always been great. Carnival has always had great crews, so that wasn't too surprising. Did you have any feelings about the variety of things on board?
Yeah, they had a wide variety of things that you could do, such as rope course, the sports pad, and just
the sports
besides
court.
Having trivia and bingo and the casino and things like that. Yeah, they had it all, like most big ships do.
Yep, now. And they had one other thing that we figured a big ship would have, and at least in normal times, and it was a lot of people. And we'll get into that, and we'll break that down a little bit more.
But
before we get into that a little deeper, we want to say some more specific things, but we also want to welcome into the show. We've got our friends Sea Lake Journeys. Robin and Chad. It's always great to have them on.
Robin.
We've got a great channel. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. And we've got Kathy is going to be going on the Mardi Gras, and so the computer's being slow. Hopefully we're probably being frozen again. I tell you, this has not been a good day for technology. And now I can't even see when she's going. I think she said she was going on the 28th. And on May 28th, Kathy, I looking forward to another cruise on a great ship. I hope you love it, and we're gonna give you some spoilers today about what we thought about it. We'll put it right on Front Street. We kind of already alluded to it. We've got good and bad to share. We're gonna say what surprises us most about it. We'll probably do a full out review video later, but we'll give you kind of a review today along with some tips and some surprises. And just so you know, if you've watched our recent live shows, you may know that this next month and a half or so are going to be kind of crazy for us, and we're not going to be able to do our normal Saturday schedule. Normally we do Saturday 3:00. So follow us on. You can join the Facebook group. It's linked down below, and that way you'll know when we're going live, because our live shows are going to be a little sporadic for a little while. Or you can subscribe with the notification bell on, so be sure to do that. And check that out. And
give us a thumbs up if you like our show.
That's right. And Chet and Robin from Sea Lake Journeys are doing Mardi Gras over Christmas. I forgot about that.
That'll be so pretty. Yes. You'll have to tell us all about it.
So let's get into it a little more. Let's break it down. Let's start with my favorite cruise topic. Let's talk about the food. What do you remember most about the food on the Mardi Gras?
There was plenty of it.
Yeah. And more complimentary food than I think we've experienced on other ships. Although it was managed a little differently. I'll just say that. As far as if you wanted to go to certain restaurants, you could only go during your dining time as an alternative to the MDR instead of going, just showing up.
And I found that in the buffet area, the Lido marketplace, they had a gelato place that was part of your food. And every day they'd have a new gelato flavor. So
and the the buffet area, the Lido Marketplace, it was, I would say it's bigger than most Carnival ships or cruise ships in general, but it's the kind of the same thing you see on other ships where it kind of repeats the same sections over and over.
Yeah.
They've got multiple omelet sections in the morning, and then they've got the different lines, and they have a combination of both the lines, which kind of is the traditional buffet where you go through the line, and then also kind of the cubes, I guess you call it, like a little counter area that you can go around all four sides. So it helped to spread people out. Of course, sometimes some of the stations were closed, but yeah, they had the gelato. They also were doing hot dogs.
Yes, the hot dogs. Station.
Didn't they have some? I thought I saw some Indian food. Did you see Indian food?
Yes, it's called shawarma. So you could get like one day a gyro and another day just like kebab or pita sandwiches. So
yeah, and that reminds me of another unique area that they had on there, and I should have linked in our video here the interview we did with Ashlyn when she went on the Mardi Gras with her whole family. She told us about street eats, and we got a chance to sample street eats, and that's complimentary food at certain times during the day.
Yeah,
and it's 3 different food stands. One had dumplings. One had different kinds of fries.
It had a dumpling of the day.
Yep, and it was each day they would only have one dumpling or one French fry dish.
Well, you get more than one.
You can get as many as you want, but it's you don't have choices of different.
No, it's just one type.
The featured item of the day. Yeah. So they had dumplings or pot stickers at the dumpling stand, and you could get one at a time, but you get as many as you want while they're open.
And you could get a French fry.
Like I had the most interesting French fry one I had was they were French fries with carbonara. They called them carbonara, and they had like bacon and Alfredo sauce. So it kind of reminded me of chicken Alfredo. So and then they had the third stand was, I'm trying to remember what that was called, but it had like kebabs and grilled meats.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the shawarma reminded me of that. So that was a good spot. Another spot you hear a lot of people talk about that's unique to only a few ships right now, including Mardi Gras, which is Big Chicken by Jack.
Yeah.
What did you think of Big Chicken?
It was a lot of hype. It was okay. It was okay for me.
But you only tried one, right? Did you try any more? I tried a couple. We tried the breakfast. We heard a lot of people talking about the breakfast chicken and biscuit, which it's a fried chicken fillet.
I tried 2 items. I tried the biscuit sandwich, and I also tried the chicken tenders.
Okay, I'm going to finish describing. Sorry about that. The chicken and biscuit. It's a fried chicken patty, and then they dip it in a spicy honey sauce, and then it's a buttered biscuit. And I don't know what you're doing over there.
I'm dipping.
Okay, well, they dip it for you. And so I had that a couple times. It was good. It wasn't it wasn't my favorite between that and the one lunch sandwich I tried was called I think it was called the Big Aristotle.
Oh yeah.
And that was a chicken sandwich. And to answer your question, the chicken was big on for the breakfast one. It seemed like it was a smaller piece. At least that's the ones I got were. But the Big Aristotle was a big fried chicken patty, and it had on it? Bacon, Munster cheese, and like crispy onions, like little onion ring pieces.
Yeah.
And it had Nashville barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
So that was really good. And they have several types of chicken sandwich you can choose from there. And I recommend it, although it's really busy when you first get on, because that seems to be like it's taking the place of Guy's Burger Joint. So in returning cruisers as the first place they want to go.
I couldn't find Guy's Burger place.
Well, Guy's Burger Joint is in a different spot. It's above, and I remember Ashlyn told us about it. It's above the Lido deck. It's not on the Lido deck. It's above that on deck 17, and it's a bigger area, which is nice. But we'll talk more about Guy's Burger Joint here in a little bit too.
I would always forget. I'd say I'd want to go to Guy's Burger, and then I get distracted like I do, and I end up eating at the Lido.
Or you saw something you saw something you want to try, and then you weren't hungry for guys.
Yep.
Yep. So a lot of food options. Definitely, that's something about the Mardi Gras. If you're going for the food, or that's one of the things that's important to you, you're going to find a lot of food options. The way they're offered is a little different than other Carnival cruises we've been on for some things, and we'll talk more about that. Anything else about food we should mention?
Oh, well, there was a gelato place. It was
You're talking about gelato again.
And I can't remember what other thing it was.
Okay.
But they had like a salad bar on the other side. So you could always count that the salad bar there would be no lines.
Oh, that's good. So and they had a couple different areas. Like I said, it's most of the things on the Mardi Gras were bigger to scale because there's more people. And while we're talking about people, there's more we can say about food. We'll say more in a minute because we tried out. We had to go to the steakhouse, of course, and we'll talk more about that. Yum. We also tried Rudy's Seagrill, which was not a hit for us, but we'll talk more about that in a minute too. We did eat Rudy's, and we have some information to share about that. We'll get to that. It wasn't. We preferred the steakhouse. So I'll just say that.
Yes.
The thing with the food is, it's for dinner. It's kind of set up kind of funny where there's a lot of options, but there's only a few things you can reserve, and the bonsai teppanyaki.
Sushi?
No, not sushi. Bonsai teppanyaki.
Yes.
Chef's Table, the Steakhouse, and Rudy's are basically the places that you can reserve before your cruise.
What about Chibang?
No.
Oh.
No, that's we'll get to that.
Okay.
Chibang, which we ended up not actually doing, partly because we heard the feedback we heard was that it wasn't really worth going out of your way for, but it had a long line a lot of the time, so maybe we should have tried it. But so anyway, the food is done a little differently. When you have your early dining or your late dining or my time, and we usually do specialty restaurants, so I didn't worry too much about, and we were just assigned late dining. Plus, because we were replacing our Norwegian cruise at the last minute, like less than a week before, I was scrambling to get it all booked. So I didn't really think about it. And we had late dining, so the only way we could eat at several of the restaurants, including Chibang and Cucina del Capitano, was if we went at our late dining time, which is later than we care to eat, especially this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm starving by 6 o'clock. So, and we've got to say hello. We've got Mary Boykin here. I hope I'm saying that right. I believe it's pronounced Mary. Glad to have you watching. We're talking about our Mardi Gras cruise. We just got off of Carnival's new ship, the Mardi Gras, just yesterday, and we're going to share what surprised us most about it. We're giving some kind of overview thoughts here. I was talking about, we were talking about food. Let's kind of talk about the ship layout in general. And we'll get into this in a little bit more in a little bit. But the ship layout, if you look and you watch any of these videos, and we'll put up more videos about the ship, but you'll see that there's some really cool innovations on the ship, some really new things, like the Bolt roller coaster. They've got kind of like on some of the ships that have the lanai, that outdoor area. So there's outdoor seating for some of the restaurants, outdoor bars. And there's also this 3-story Grand Central area that has
pretty.
Yeah, and it's an entertainment area at the center of the ship. It kind of serves as atrium for the ship, even though it's kind of pushed off to one side. And it's on decks 6, 7, and 8. It looked like a great idea, but in practice, when there was importance going on, good luck getting past it on decks 6, 7, and 8, especially the upper decks, because people would crowd in there, more people than there were seats.
Right.
Which leads us to talk about possibly the elephant in the room for this cruise.
There's an elephant in the room?
Yeah, there is. Not a literal elephant. How full was the ship? And our cruise director, who we've had as our cruise director on another ship, Cookie, was filling in as a substitute. He did a great job.
He and the other girl.
Yeah, and Kendall.
Kendall.
And he said that there were 5,990 plus people, or something like that.
It's a
Basically,
lot of people.
The number that I was hearing from other crew members was 6,000 people on board. So, which is basically a full cruise. So, the ship was full. It's the fullest cruise we've been on since we've returned to cruising. We've been on 2 other ships that were probably at 50% and obviously much smaller than Mardi Gras. So it was a full ship and there were a lot of lines.
You could tell because there was a line for everywhere.
Yeah.
But once we got in the middle of the week or so, the elevators were not so crowded.
Yeah, you know how it is
when at high peak times like breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Right. You know how like on any cruise, the first day when people are finding their way around, or maybe the first day or two, it tends to be a little more crowded and people are moving slow, and the elevators tend to fill up because people are going from deck to deck checking things out. But yeah, it got a little better. It was kind of hit or miss on the elevators, but it was better during the middle.
I like that they had 3 elevator banks. So they had one in the aft, one in the middle, and one in the front. So that was really nice. And our room was close to the elevator, so just hop on and
that
go
worked
to
out.
Whichever floor we wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, and that generally worked, although we did have one incident with elevators, which we'll tell you about in a minute. Are you looking surprised? You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Now I do.
We're gonna get to some surprises that we experienced on this cruise in just a minute. But we're trying to kind of fill in the details. We haven't had a chance to really put together a full review. We don't have our video and photos all processed. So I'm trying to paint a little bit of a picture. Beautiful ship, everything very new. It has a lot of the familiar spots.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they had the Alchemy Bar. They had the Punchliner Comedy Club, Bonsai Sushi.
Did they have
Guy's Burger Joint.
They had the Punchliner and the Limelight.
They used the Limelight Lounge as an overflow, which is a good point to bring up because the Punchliner Club appeared to be about the same size as we've seen on other ships. And obviously, when you have 3 times as many people as other ships, that was a challenge. So they did extra shows in the Limelight Lounge.
Yeah, they did. They did like 3 shows every day.
3 or 4. I think on sea days they did.
It was amazing.
Maybe 4. They had shows as early as 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So they were trying to accommodate for that, but it's still a very popular venue. So there were lines outdoor, out waiting to get into the shows. Pretty much every night. The other thing I'd say about the size of the ship, and we want to get to the things that surprised us the most in a minute here, but we since we canceled our cruise, or we were canceled up by Norwegian on our other cruise, we weren't able to go on that cruise, so we had to scramble quickly, and we kind of took a cabin that was available, and it was a balcony cabin, and it was fine. Yeah, it was good, but I mean, I almost wonder if it was worth having a balcony this cruise because it was so hot and so humid. Did you want to? I don't think we told them where we sailed to. What was our itinerary? You remember?
Oh, it was It seemed like it was our honeymoon cruise where we went to Cozumel, Costa Maya,
Mexico,
and Roatan,
Honduras. Yeah. So those were our 3 ports on a week-long cruise. So we had 3 sea days and 3 port days. But once we were out of past Florida coast, once we were past the Keys, it got so hot and so humid.
How hot was it?
It was so hot and humid that this guy here that loves sitting out on the balcony on his cruises and drinking coffee and relaxing, didn't go out there and drink any coffee at all the whole time because it was just not fun to be out there. I'd go out there and we watched some pier runners one day.
Yeah.
But
I love watching pier runners.
Yeah, the balcony wasn't really needed, and that was more about the weather during the cruise than anything. But we're going to tell you about the room, and the cabin we had was really nice, very updated. If you've seen the pictures of what they look like with the blue and gray colors,
we had a few surprises, really nice. Which I was.
We'll get to that. Yep.
Surprised about.
Yeah. So. We watched a little bit of the shows. You tell them a little bit about the shows.
Well, they were very elaborate. I went to one called Rock Through the Ages, I think. And it wasn't what I was expecting.
Was it like one of these shows? Because I did not go to this one, but it sounds like one I've seen before, where I think it was called Epic Rock, where there's a lot of singing and dancing and like visual effects.
There was a lot of singing and dancing. And the visual effects were amazing.
Right.
But it was more geared to one type of style of music, I would say.
Okay.
So
and we got to say hi to JNS Adventures. They've joined us. Good to have you here. We're just talking about our Mardi Gras cruise we just got off of yesterday. A substitute for the Norwegian Escape cruise we were going to go on, but that ship's still sitting in Port Canaveral as we speak. It's not going anywhere. They're still fixing it, I guess. So the show, what was called
Rock Through the Ages.
Rock Through the Ages. Okay. And was it in the Mardi Gras Theater, the main theater, or was it in that Grand Central area? Do you remember?
It was in the Mardi Gras Theater. Then this other show that I happened to watch, which was like a white show. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything was in the color.
Oh yeah, white, it looked like they were getting ready for that was in the Grand Central, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looked like I saw them getting ready for that, and it looked like it was getting ready for a wedding. It was all the props, all the decor was white.
That was really incredible. They had acrobats in the air doing stuff.
Okay. To the music. I'm
flipping and twirling and with ropes and long curtains, and they were.
Yep.
I was just like
doing stuff that made me nervous.
Yeah.
And Sea Lake Journeys is asking if we still got towel animals, and we did. We got them every day.
Did.
I think my favorite was a frog they did.
I like the rabbit. The rabbit's always my favorite.
Yeah. So some good shows. You were talking about going to a comedy show, and we talked about maybe going once or twice, but you were talking about it almost every day. You were thinking about doing it, but did you end up going to see one?
I went and saw 2, I think.
Okay.
2 of the comedy shows.
Mm-hmm.
No, I saw 3.
Okay.
I saw 3. Yeah.
Okay, but you and it was typical. You enjoyed it. It was funny, and you laughed at some things, and other things you shook your head.
Yeah,
so that's about right. So it sounds like comedy to me.
Yeah.
So that was. I want to go back to the food. Does that say something? Because we didn't mention Guy's Pig and Anchor, which was a really kind of fun spot.
That was fun.
We did go to dinner at Guy's Pig and Anchor one night, and let's go. Should we go ahead and talk about? I know we're gonna go through this is gonna be our surprises too, but I feel like we need to talk about what happened with Rudy's a little bit.
Okay.
So
we can do that.
If Rudy's looks good to you, if it looks like something you would like to pay the money for, it's currently almost, I think, $40 a person extra to go to Rudy's, and it's basically a seafood restaurant, and it's the concept. The menu was designed by a famous chef named Rudy. I can remember his last name, but our first night we had a reservation to go to Rudy's, and I was very excited. What did you think of it? Do you remember what you had? What did you think of the food and the service?
I don't remember what I think. I don't even know.
You got the crab stuffed lobster.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the crab stuffed lobster, and they gave us bread. I love bread.
Oh, bread beforehand. Yes, and speaking of
I love bread.
Sea Lake Journeys, if you're a bread fan, you got to check out their channel because they've got a video just on cruise line bread.
Right.
And how did Rudy's bread hold up to? It was just like, it was a little bit of like garlic butter on it, the small pieces of bread toasted.
The ones that I had I don't know what, but they were hard as a rock. It was like you could practically chip your tooth on one of those, and I was just
and you're not saying it was hard on the outside, it was just overall hard.
So it wasn't hard. It was a cracker.
Yeah, like Robin and Chet would like. I think they would like it kind of soft and fluffy in the middle and crispy or crunchy on the outside.
I found that bread, the bread that I like, crusty and soft in the middle, in the Lido marketplace.
Okay, well there you go. So anyway, we're just talking about the bread. So I had what did I have? I had the halibut. And it was kind of disappointing. I think they may have been having an off night because you didn't care for the lobster, if I'm not mistaken. Was it overcooked, you said?
It was overcooked, probably because there was a stuffed crab stuffing in it. But they didn't really, they didn't they just presented it, and it looked really nice.
Uh-huh.
It was all in the crab shell,
Uh-huh.
but I was
Lobster shell.
Lobster shell,
Uh-huh.
but I had a hard time getting it out, and by the time you get it out, I was not impressed.
Okay, so just giving it kind of some may sound like some really picky little things, but the seafood being overcooked at a seafood restaurant to me is pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
Again, they might have been having an off night. The servers weren't all that attentive, and when one server asked Joy how her stuffed lobster was, she said, "I'm having a hard time getting it out of the shell." And the lady just kind of giggled and walked away. I don't know if she didn't understand what she meant or what.
And their service was very fast.
Yeah.
To the point where I was still enjoying my soup appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought like salad and then something else. And I'm like, well, can't you wait?
Yeah.
I felt very rushed.
I think they were trying to get us out. And I don't know if that's just Rudy's, because one of the nights we had a reservation for the steakhouse, they called and asked us if we would mind coming a half hour earlier.
Yeah.
And we had reserved 5:30, which was the earliest time. They were actually opening earlier than I think they had originally intended.
Yeah.
Probably to accommodate more people because there's so many people on the ship, and it might be some growing pains with them coming back to full size operation, because it was a new ship during it came back as a below capacity operation because of what's been going on in the world. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but Rudy's was a little disappointing. We actually had 2 more reservations because we couldn't get as many reservations in steakhouse as we were looking for. We booked 3 Rudy's and 2 steakhouse, and
did we really?
Yeah, and so we ended up canceling the other 2 Rudy's, and we weren't able to get extra steakhouse reservations, but we found other things. And the reason I mentioned all this is because one night we just went to the Pig and Anchor, which is complimentary, and
so good.
It reminds me of a chain that we have in the United States, at least in some states, called Famous Dave's. It's very
so good,
laid back. There's live music playing a lot of the time,
they
and
give you a ton of food.
Yeah, they have good brisket and chicken and a lot of different food.
It's very good.
You can go there in the morning for they have a small version of the buffet. You can just go there. So that was a good spot to hang out if you.
And you can have it for lunch too.
Exactly, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep,
guys, Pig and Anchor barbecue. Yep,
highly recommend.
That was a good one. Anything else we should go over before we get into our surprises? Because I feel like we are kind of touching on some of these surprises.
Well, some of the drinks, since I couldn't have a mango meltdown on Norwegian.
That's what
I was really looking forward to. I found a replacement on Carnival. It was a mango daiquiri.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were I didn't drink maybe as much as I would have on Norwegian because we were going to have the open bar thing. So we did explore and check out some of the bars that are unique to the Mardi Gras, at least as of right now. I don't think you went to the Fortune Teller, but the Fortune Teller bar was kind of a cool concept. Had very, you'd probably say frou-frou drinks, but very creative. One drink has they blow up a bubble on top of it and fill it with smoke. It's called the Crystal Ball. I had another one that was what was it called? I don't remember what it was called.
I stuck to what I liked.
Delicious.
I did try one other strawberry daiquiri, and it was the taste was too strong of alcohol, so I didn't like it. Okay.
Well, maybe I would have liked that. So the Fortune Teller bar is a cool concept for an extra bar that you don't normally have on a Carnival ship because it's new. But there's also the Brass Magnolia, and we spent a lot of time there.
Yeah.
That was also in kind of the same area that they refer to as they call it the Mardi Gras area. French Quarter. Yep, French Quarter. So they had that's where they have the Emerald's restaurant, which I got in line. I ended up giving up on the line one day, so we never ate there. I was surprised to see that it's more of a walk-up restaurant. I guess I didn't do my research on that one. I thought it was going to be a sit-down place. It's more.
They had sit-down outside.
Yeah, but you go through a line to order.
Yeah.
I was expecting more like Emerald's that we went to in New Orleans, where you sit down on the tablecloths and enjoy the food that way. But we did go to the Brass Magnolia, and it's a cool themed kind of Louisiana themed bar with lots of brass, and the light fixtures had like musical instrument.
The light fixtures. They had like a chandelier of horns, like tuba horns or bugle horns and things like that.
Yeah, and a really good service there at the bar. And we went there 3 or 4 times to see this
electric violin
trio called I'm trying to get the name right. New Age Trio. And the New Age Trio were great.
They were amazing.
Very, very good, entertaining from kind of more classical renditions. Maybe not classical in the Beethoven sense, but some older school violin music, and then some like current hits, like they're playing Billie Eilish and Tina Turner and a lot of
just a mixture of 80s and today's music and
So that was another bar that we really enjoyed. And Sea Lake Journeys is asking the question if we think the smaller ships have better service than the larger ones.
Yes.
I was going to ask if you want to answer that question, but you beat me. Yes, without a doubt. I'll just be perfectly frank. And if you're booked to go on the Mardi Gras, I hope you enjoy it. I mean,
the service was really good.
I'm sure any cruise is better than no cruise.
Yeah.
I guess our suspicion has been for a while that we think, at least I'll say for myself, that I prefer the smaller ships, and this cruise pretty much took away any doubt in my mind that I prefer the smaller ships, because it was just too many lines. You recognize some crew members once in a while, they recognize you, but it feels very big city kind of. I think
I did a lot more walking just because we were in the front and a lot of the venues were in the back.
Yep.
So, but I liked level 8 where you could walk from the front to the back and see like the what's the New Orleans area?
The French Quarter?
French Quarter. Yeah. And then you would go to, like, at the end was the Pig and Anchor. And the Pig and Anchor was huge. It took the rest of the back end.
The width of the aft end of the ship was Guy's Pig and Anchor barbecue, and the Heroes Tribute Bar was maybe a third or a fourth of that.
Yep.
And combined together, they had big screen TVs and stuff, so you could go and watch some sports during the
couches and chairs.
And they had ice cream too.
Yeah, ice cream. I had some ice cream.
So let's go ahead and move on to. We've kind of been all over the map here. I think if you're thinking about going on the Mardi Gras, I think you'll enjoy it. Especially if you don't mind big ships, but be prepared for the crowds. Especially if it's gonna be the weather's not that great, especially if it's really hot if it's in the summer, and you're probably not going to want to be in the outside areas where you could maybe get away from the crowds. The crowds, for the most part, are also going to want to be indoors, so it's even more crowded. Mm-hmm. If the weather's great, if you go in the winter or more mild itineraries weather-wise, you might be able to enjoy more of the outside of the ship. But we were inside most of the time.
Yeah, and we did go outside of the ship on the ports. We walked around and stuff, and we lasted maybe an hour.
I think the longest we were in any of the ports. We didn't do any excursions, partly because this was a last minute booking. But I think the longest we were in any port was maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we did a little shopping, and a couple of ports we stopped and got a Fat Tuesday type drink. And,
I was going to show the cups. But...
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. We'll move on. So we need to talk. We keep saying we're going to talk about some of the surprises. So let's get into the surprises, the things that we started listing while we were on the cruise.
Okay.
So you want to go ahead and introduce what we're doing now?
Sure. This is called 10 Mardi Gras surprises.
That's right. So these are the things that surprised us most about our Mardi Gras cruise. Number 1 is that the venues from the shops, the restaurants, the bars, they're very numerous, a wide variety of them, but they tended not to be that much bigger than the venues you'd find on a smaller ship.
That's correct.
For example, I was mentioning I mentioned the to you the other day. We were talking about what's it called, the Punchliner Comedy Club, about the same size as on other ships.
Yeah.
So they ended up using a second theater for the Limelight Lounge for other shows for the comedians. So, big ship with lots of options, but the popular ones may have big lines and may be really crowded because they're not 3 times, for the most part, I would say, not 3 times bigger than the smaller ships.
Yep, and I don't know if they had problems with getting enough staff or something, but...
Okay, that's a thought too.
But because there were a lot of lines, but the staff was excellent.
Okay.
I went into the cherry on top and just looked around. So the cherry on top was maybe a little bit bigger, but it seemed like it was all the same stuff was in there.
It felt like it was about the same size as on Carnival Liberty or Sunshine or something.
And I was surprised at the shops. The Carnival shop and the Carnival shop for Carnival merchandise was really small.
Yeah, they had 2 little shops. They didn't have a lot of options, including they didn't have a ship model for which, like behind me, I'd like to collect those from each voyage. So you may not be able to get that, but they had some unique things. So let's go on to number 2, surprise number 2, and that was dinner plans. Dinner plans at certain restaurants worked a little differently than on other Carnival cruises we've been on, where if you're booked for early seating or late seating and you want to go somewhere other than the MDR, like you want to go to Chibang, which has Mexican and Chinese food, you can only reserve those on your app and get a place in line during your MDR dining window, if that makes sense.
It's called the Carnival Hub app.
Yeah, on the Carnival Hub app, for us, we had late seating for the MDR. If we want to go to Chibang or Cucina del Capitano instead, then you had to go on the app and you couldn't reserve anything prior to 7:45. So, it was great that Cucina del Capitano was complimentary for dinner, but to get in there, you had a narrow window you could go to. So it wasn't quite as spontaneous.
Right.
We enjoyed going to Bonsai Sushi. That's what we did for dinner probably 3 evenings, I think.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it cost extra. It's a la carte, but we really liked the food and the service was pretty good.
We figured by the end, the 3rd time, we had been there so much that we knew that this is the amount of food that we need to order. Right. So we're not wasting as much food.
Second night, I ordered way too much. But it's
the portions are huge.
And if you don't like sushi, they have plenty of other things besides sushi. The chicken, the shrimp, a lot of good stuff. So let's go on. Speaking of food, let's talk about surprise number 3. And that was the experience at Rudy's Seagrill. Rudy's Seagrill is a new concept on Carnival where...
I kept thinking it was a French restaurant, but it wasn't.
No, it's a seafood restaurant. Rudy's Seagrill serves seafood, and we were really disappointed in it.
We were really disappointed.
Your crab stuffed lobster was dry. It was overcooked.
And
my halibut
rubbery.
was overcooked. The service seemed to be focused mostly on getting us in and out quickly rather than being sure that we were happy with what we had. And we only dined there one time, even though we had originally reserved 3 nights. So Rudy's Seagrill was kind of a disappointment. Maybe it was an off night. Maybe they're, training new crew members. I don't know, but overcooked seafood doesn't work for me.
Yep. And I had asked several times if I could get softer bread, and they just laughed. They just kept going.
Yeah, you mentioned that you didn't like the bread that over toasted, and what they say that's the way Rudy likes it.
Yep.
So I guess that it's
that's what the restaurant manager said.
It's not Burger King. You can't have it your way. So anyway, so then let's talk about surprise number 4. Again, we're going to talk about food. The Fahrenheit 555 Steakhouse. We've loved all the steakhouses on Carnival that we've been to, but on the day of our second reservation for the steakhouse, I got a message on the Hub app early in the afternoon saying that our reservation had been canceled. And so I went through this whole process of trying to find a way to get a hold of someone in the steakhouse, and guest services said that there's no one to talk to until 5 o'clock, which is half an hour before reservation. But anyway, they gave me the extension, and I got through to somebody because somebody was there canceling our reservations, and apparently they had made a mistake with the room number and then canceled it by mistake. And it was kind of a confusing encounter. So there's a little bit of chaos there, and they still thought my name was Kevin instead of Dan, and called
no
back
matter
after
how many times he said.
After I called, and they reassured me that the reservation was in place now. And I was waiting for it to pop back up on the Hub app. I got a call back from them, and they said, "Oh, Kevin, you're not reserved for 2 more nights." And I was like, "No, that's the wrong cabin number." So anyway, that was kind of crazy. But after the first night dining at the steakhouse and all of our other steakhouse experiences, I figured I'd make up to it when we went to the meal. And what did they do? Instead of having a nice seat by the window the first night, we got, I think, arguably the worst seat in the house. A table for 2 right next to the kitchen, right next to the table that they pile all the dirty used dishes on. I mean, literally about as close as Joy is to me is where dirty plates with lobster shells and other stuff was piling up. So I was like, okay. So they canceled our reservation, and now they're putting us in this terrible table. I was like, what's going on? Yeah. So that was disappointing. So that was probably, I would say that was our worst experience.
The food was still really good.
The food was good, but that's really good. If that's the worst thing that ever happened at a Carnival Steakhouse, which I guess it probably is, then they generally do pretty good. So that was surprising. And
you're right, Robin, no tablecloths.
Oh, you're talking to Robin out there. Yes, they don't. Yeah, Fahrenheit 555 doesn't do tablecloths, but when they do the Carnival Steakhouses that aren't branded for Fahrenheit 555, they do tablecloths. At least that's the way what we've experienced.
So there were, yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We got more surprises. Surprise number 5. Guy's Burger Joint. The burger was good and like normal, but the fries were different. And I only ate at Guy's one time this cruise, which I think is a record low number for me. Yeah. Probably because there were so many other good food options. Yeah. Big Chicken by Shack and the Street Eats. Those were 2 of my favorite places for lunchtime. The fries were different. They weren't like I've had on every other Carnival cruise where they have that kind of...
They changed the recipe.
Golden brown, tender fry. And maybe people are saying we want a crunchier fry, because I know some people don't like that about Guy's Burger Joint fries. But they were just like a crispy fry, like from McDonald's, that were barely cooked. They were a little pale looking, and somehow they're still really dry inside. They're just like overcooked fries. Didn't have much flavor, and they put a bunch of seasoning on them that I don't remember seeing before.
Yeah, like it was kind of
parsley and probably garlic salt, and it was just like they got the fries from somewhere else that day. And maybe they've changed them on all ships. I'd be curious to hear your experiences when you go on Carnival. If you have the same experience, maybe they've changed the fries. So that was surprise number 5. And I know you didn't eat it, Guys. So let's move on to number 6. You actually missed Guys altogether this time, didn't you?
I did, because it was on a different floor. And every time I was thinking of trying Guy's Burger, I'd get sidetracked by shawarma or a
lot of options.
The dumpling place, or they even have a hot dog place. Yeah.
So Guy's Burger Joint is on deck 7. Deck 17 above the Lido deck. Deck right above it. So you'll have to go up there for it. But it's a nice big. It's one of the locations they made a lot bigger than on other cruise ships. Number 6, a big surprise for me. Something I was looking for and couldn't find it in my research ahead of time. But they have no dedicated sports bar. No skybox sports bar. Now, they did have in the Guy's Pig and Anchor and the adjoining Heroes Tribute Bar, they had TVs where they put games on. So it kind of served as a sports bar. And they had, beer on tap in Guy's Pig and Anchor. So it kind of worked. But it's like with all the space on the ship, I'm surprised they just said, oh, let's not do a sports bar. We'll just combine it with Pig and Anchor. So maybe that's something new they're doing. I don't know. They also, I couldn't find, and correct me if you saw these, but I didn't see an art gallery, I didn't see a library, I didn't see a card room, and I didn't see a chapel. No, these are all, these are typically older, traditional types places you'll find on a cruise ship.
They're smaller the quiet ships have places that you can go to.
Yeah, because I was looking for a quiet place because there's so many people on the ship. It would have been nice to go to a card room or a library for a little while.
The only quiet
air conditioning
place,
and have some quiet.
The only quiet place that you would have is your stateroom.
Yeah, Yeah, if you're looking for another quiet spot and you want to be in a public area, the Havana bar probably was the best option. Although sometimes activities take place and sometimes it got busy, but
or sometimes between shows, the midship area on floor 6.
Oh yeah, Grand Central.
Grand Central, right across from the coffee place, was somewhat quiet.
Okay, well,
place to sit. Yeah.
Yep. So that was surprise number 6. What else do we want to tell?
So I want to talk about the drink package.
The drink package.
Yeah, the bubble package.
Okay.
So they have a new system for soda and juice, where you use your room key, and before you could just take it to much soda. So the only thing that you could take that was free is the ice cubes and water, and coffee, of course.
Okay.
And tea. So I wanted to have the drink package because I like having pop and I like having juice and things like that. So you walk up to this machine, and the trick is put your cup below the juice or drink that you want to have already filled with ice cubes.
Okay.
So you put it there, then you give your card, and the machine gives you 20 seconds to fill it up. So you're like,
so you gotta hurry.
Yeah, you gotta hurry.
Fill your ice first.
Fill up your ice and put it right underneath, so you can just press it and you'll fill it up. Because if you mess around before that and your 20 seconds ends, you have to wait like 5 minutes before you can do it again.
Wow, that's good to know. So there's a bonus secret and kind of a tip there for you. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on. We ask you here at this point, if you haven't done so already, be sure to give us a thumbs up and let us know you're enjoying this by clicking the icon below. And now, number 7 on the Mardi Gras, our surprise number 7 from our Mardi Gras cruise we just got off of yesterday. There's a lot of places to go to for food, for drinks, for shows, for entertainment, all that kind of stuff. Lots of places to go. But the way they design the ship is very different than the other ships. The other ships have the atrium, but this ship the Mardi Gras has what they call the Grand Central, and it's 3 decks 6, 7, and 8, and it's open on all 3 decks, and that's where a lot of almost a majority, at least half of the indoor venues are around that perimeter where there's shows going on. So it can get really crowded, and it can get really noisy with music coming from the show and the music or sounds inside the restaurant or the shop or the bar or whatever. So that's one thing to be aware of.
And I was surprised that for the comedy stuff, there was always like a huge line.
Yep.
For the comedy shows. So
so there's a lot to do, but there's a lot of people, and that open concept did make it kind of noisy at times.
You want to get there early. I mean, like maybe a half an hour at least early.
Yep. Yeah, with a lot of people, you want to plan for everything and be prepared. Keep patient. Yeah. So speaking of being patient, one day we were getting off the ship actually to go into Costa Maya.
Right.
And we were taking the elevator down to deck 3, and we were leaving. We were close the doors on deck 4, about to go down one more deck to deck 3, and surprise number 8, the screen where it says the name of the deck number said evacuation, and all of a sudden our elevator went flying back up to deck 7. And all the doors on all the elevators had returned to deck 7 and said evacuation above all of them. So you couldn't take them anywhere. So that was a surprise. I don't know why that happened. I think it was a mistake.
I think so.
Malfunction.
Yeah.
One of the elevators in that bank had some maintenance people working on it. So maybe it was associated with that. But that was a surprise. So
we're like, what is going on? Is this really a drill?
We were almost to where we needed to be to get off the ship, and then saying, no, you got to stay on the ship. I guess they want us to go to our lifeboats because that's on deck 7.
It resolved itself.
Yeah, it did. The evacuation notices disappeared off the digital screen, and we pressed the button to go down. We found a guy that said, yeah, I just stayed on the elevator the whole time. And we got off in Costa Maya and did our shopping and exploring. So we're almost done with the surprises. Let's talk about surprise number 9. What were the things that we didn't care about our cabin? We had a balcony cabin.
Yeah.
And number 10, we'll tell you what we like because we want to finish on a good note. But number 9, what were the negatives that you can remember from the cabin?
The negative, which is, it would have been nice if there were outlets like to plug in like an alarm clock or a fan.
Oh, like right by the bed.
Right by the bed.
Right. No conventional American outlet or even European outlets of any kind.
Yeah.
They just had a USB outlet, which is a nice touch. But if you need to plug something with a normal plug, it wasn't by the bed.
Yeah.
And also, I thought the setup was a beautiful cabin, but the setup was kind of weird because they had a great big flat screen TV, probably the biggest one we've had on any cruise ship.
Beautiful.
But it was in front of the bed, and when you were sitting over on the couch, which is where I usually would watch TV from, it was a very extreme angle. And I think I remember Ashlyn talking about this when we had her on.
The TV didn't swivel.
Yeah.
Because we sometimes hung out in our room just to get away from the crowd.
Yep. Yeah, it was at times the crowds got to be so much we went back to the room and watched a pay-per-view or an on-demand movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's hard to watch it from the couch. Yeah. But I think that's really all the negatives that we had about the cabin.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the positives. Yeah, let's go to surprise number 10, the things we really liked about the cabin. What did you really like about the cabin?
I like that they had these fold-in, fold-out night lights or reading lights for each side. I love that.
Yeah, next to both sides of the bed, they had like a little, it was just like it recessed into the wall and then it flipped up like a little wand, a little light on it. And right next to it, they had a USB plug. You could plug something in there. But the light, you could, if you just want enough light for one person, like one person being in bed or whatever, you could, or even one person sleeping, you could use that little light and it'd be enough light to see around the room to see what you're doing.
And they also had one of those lights by the couch at the very end.
Oh, yeah.
So if you wanted to read and not read in bed, but read on a couch or something.
Very good. That was nice. And the overall decor in the room was really nice. It was different, updated from the orange and pinks and other things that you see in a lot of Carnival cabins.
Storage too.
It had the decor had a lot of blues and grays. It was a nice color scheme. You commented on that right away. And what were you saying? I
was saying there was a lot of storage to the point where I don't think I used all the storage spaces.
Okay. And you mentioned in the closets they had shelves that you could fold up or fold down, depending on if you wanted more hanging space.
If you wanted more hanging space, or if you needed more shelf space.
Yes, it
was great.
That's what we're saying. Okay, we're running out of time, so we're kind of rushing here. They also were a lot of outlets, more outlets than we've had in other balcony cabins on Carnival or other cruise lines in general.
But they were on the desk area.
Yeah, they were all in one spot along the desk. So it's convenient for there. And there was more USB outlets there too. But that was great. But it'd be nice if they were spread out in the room a little bit more. And then I know there's one thing you liked about the bathroom that you need to mention before we wrap up.
Yes. Finally, Carnival has heard our request to have an actual door on the shower. And they did.
Awesome.
Good job, Carnival.
So that was our 10 surprises. We hope you liked it. If you did, give us a thumbs up by clicking down below and subscribe by clicking the link in the description. Or you can find all kinds of links down below. You can just hit the subscribe button to subscribe. Yeah. And we got to answer some questions here. Mark commented he just got back from a 7-day cruise on that ship. Nice ship, very large, 5,200 passengers, so a little less than what Cookie said we had on ours. Very busy, lots to do. So yeah, there's definitely lots to do on the ship.
There's always trivia, or there was always something to do.
Yeah. And then Sea Lake Journeys is asking if we tried room service, and Yes and no.
He did.
Well, no, I didn't really technically. So here's the thing with room service is it was hard. I don't know why they don't put room service on the Hub app. I looked through all the information, and it's not on the TV. I looked, and somewhere in the frequently asked questions or somewhere I found, look for the QR code in your room for a room service menu, and that's what they had in all the restaurants. Had little QR codes you scan to get the menu.
If you wanted paper, you can just ask them for paper menu.
Yes, but I'm talking about the room service now, and the room service I couldn't even find the QR code. So aside from calling them and asking them, what do you have, it didn't really work. But they have this new service where you can order, there's like 10 items you can order on the app, and there's a charge for it, but they'll deliver to your room, they'll deliver it where on the ship, they'll deliver pizza, wings, quesadillas, stuff like that, and sodas and a couple kinds of beer.
That's cool.
We tried that, but we didn't do any of the traditional room service, except for we did the first breakfast on 1 or 2 days.
One or 2 days.
Yeah, do the hang tag and put it out a door, no charge. So that was nice. So we're over time here, so we need to wrap up. Anything else we need to tell people?
If you've been on the Mardi Gras, tell us what your likes or dislikes were. And
comment down below.
These are just our opinions. They're not official anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. So comment down below and let us know what you thought. Let us know if you have any questions. Don't forget to subscribe with the notification bell on so you know when we're doing our live shows, because our live show schedule is kind of crazy for the next month or so. Then we'll probably get back to Saturdays at 3. And we hope you enjoyed this. Also, you can join our Facebook group in the link below. That's another way to keep track of us and watch our live shows. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Well, wait, we can't say bye yet. I'm not to the. Okay, I got to quickly. Okay, what did you just say?
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.